Hello Werx fans, and welcome back to another edition of modeling news around the world. And this week there's not much going on, so we're gonna speed this up. Should make it for a faster upload too if it's not as long. So nothing going on in the world of modeling that's really worth mentioning, so we'll go right ahead and go to the future kit releases. Hello Werx fans, and welcome to the future kit releases. And we've got a few things this week that have been announced. Blotter is telling us Ryefield 135th scale T34 in the Egyptian modification. There has been resin kits of this in the past, but this will be an injection molded and it'll be very nice. So it'll be a lot easier to build than the resin, that's for sure. So not sure of the price and availability yet, but it's they got the box art, so it's coming. Next is Trumpeter is coming out with a whole bunch of big trucks based on the Scud chassis system. The first one is a 30M6E, I believe it is, or 30N6E radar vehicle. This thing's going to be a monster. I'm not sure what the price is going to be, probably pushing 200 bucks plus. But seems like this is one of their trends. The next one up is also Trumpeter. It's an S1 SA22 rocket vehicle, and this is only in CAD drawings right now, so it might be a little further off. The next one is an S300V missile vehicle, which has got box art, so it might be out at the same time as that 30N6E. Again, big monster of a vehicle, and looks really nice, but it's going to be expensive and a ton of parts. So, but it's honorable that they're taking the challenge up and doing these big vehicles. Next up, Tacom Panther, their Flakverling, and that I showed last time a actual computer drawing or CAD drawing. We now have box art. It's going to be a 2-in-1, so there won't be two separate kits. You'll have one kit to do either one, so that'll be kind of nice. If you want to do both, you just buy two kits. Atelier has announced they're going to do a new tool, T3485, which of course there's tons of them out there, but they're always welcome because each one that's newer has a little bit better detail and a little easier to build. This one's going to have link and length track, which is nice. Makes it a little easier to work with. So we'll have to see how they do the casting texture and all on that vehicle. Next one is kind of a little strange. Masterbox is doing some new space figures from their Edge of the Universe series, which they've done some that were in a kind of a bar scene. Well, these are two what look like bounty hunters or security officers, man and woman. They looks like they'll be sold separately, but that'll be kind of neat. Something completely different and doesn't go to any movie or anything, so it's kind of gives you the ability to do whatever you want in your diorama. So that's it for future releases, and next up is a kit review. Hello and welcome again to New Kit Review. This week we're going to be looking at the new Hasegawa Hitachi ZW 100-6, which is a front-end loader. It's part of their new line of construction vehicles. They did a roller, steamroller, and some other vehicles in the series, and this is the latest one. So this one's going to be quite a bit of fun, I think, with all the weathering potential it has. Let's look at the side of the box here. Not much to tell, and same picture on that side. So let's open it, take a quick look here. Okay, and this one is a kit that kind of looks like for a beginner, but also for more advanced. It's not quite as beginner as, say, a Gundam kit would be, but it's not quite as complicated as some of their other fancy kits. Okay, so let's look at some of the sprue action here. Okay. first one here is going to be looks like some of the engine cover components. Looks like a radiator, which has really fine detail on it. I mean, that's exquisite. An open grill system, which is nice. Driver's column or steering column, steering wheel, the actual driver's compartment with the water floor mat type thing on there. And next up, in its crazy orange color, which I guess is close to the Hitachi orange color. Looks like a lot of the bucket parts, mechanisms and so forth, some of the rims, which look nice. A little bit of slide molding going on, which is really nice, and then these stepped systems here so they can actually get some stuff that's angled without having to make it into too many components. Looks real good. No flash as of yet. Alright, next one up is again more of the chassis components. These will definitely look a lot better with a run of primer on them and some paint eventually. Okay, back to the gray. We got the interior, we got the seat, which looks real nice. Seat back does need a belt, at least has a lap belt from the picture on the front, and a wiper arm, which is really nice. And to mention, this is 35th scale, so it does go with your armor stuff. Transmission systems here. Again, real clean, real tiny details on the control systems. Nice that they didn't make those all individual, because that can be a pain. The bucket, and this is going to be where it's going to be fun to do some weathering inside the bucket. The dirt, mud, and scratching off of the paint, so that'll be kind of fun. Again, a very interesting way of molding it, different levels, makes life a lot easier. Okay, next up, looks like the bottom engine here. They don't have the full engine, they just have this relief, which is fine because it's on the bottom, you won't really see it. So it does have a lot of detail for what's there. Some of the doors and walls and so forth. Again, real crisp, multi-layer. There's the control panel. Almost looks like something from a F-16. Pretty advanced machinery that they're using these days in Japan and around the world. Okay, so next up is going to be, it looks like some of the clear parts. Okay. Alright, we got some vinyl hosing for the hydraulics, which is really nice. Just a little kind of a bugger to glue on. You have to use some super glue or something of that sort. The glass, super clear. I mean, it's, I'll show you here. I mean, it's just crystal clear. No need to put any type of clear coats or anything on that. And it's not non-distorting. It doesn't look like there's any waves of injection molding in it. But that's really sharp. Very awesome. And then these little O-rings here. Again, for probably some of the hydraulics. Then number G sprue here. And that is, looks like the driver figure, or figurette. It's a woman driver, and which is the same on the steamroller and so forth. They do have sets of road workers as well. Some of the more of the interior, some of the hydraulic system here. Again, flash free, looking pretty good. Okay. Next up is the tires. And they are in a special type of bag, so I'm guessing that these are real rubber or something. They're not just the regular vinyl. Those are really sharp, and they're semi-rigid, so you could actually do a lot of weathering and painting on them without worrying about it chipping off. They're not so flexible that it'll just chip off anything. They look real good. They do have a seam down the middle, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a problem. The real ones, of course, have seams down the middles as well. Interesting that those particular components are made in China, where most of the rest of this is actually made in Japan. So let's see what else we got in the box. Here we got the decals, and those are for the windows and so forth. They're really nice. I mean, there's absolutely no decal film. I mean, it's just a very, very thin edge on it. It used to be that they would be the full thing and you'd have to cut them out or deal with it that way. On register, real thin, look real good. Hopefully Hasgal will be doing thin decals on all their stuff. And the instructions, both in Japanese and English. Layout of all the parts, and kind of busy here, but not too fancy of small parts, so it's actually easy to figure out. Just do like I do and just mark out the parts as you glue them on. That way you know that you didn't miss anything. The driver compartment, you will have to break this down in how you want to paint it. If you want to do the different paint colors, you'll have to do them in sub-assemblies and so forth. Chassis, the doors, I would usually leave the doors off till last. Some more of the transmission here. There's the engine compartment. No engine, of course, internally. I don't know if anybody will make a resin one, but I don't know why you would. But bucket system here, which is lots of detail because it's the most important thing. It's the bucket itself, the actuators, the lever arms, some clear parts. They tell you left and right on some stuff, which is nice. Tires and wheels go on last with poly caps, which is nice, so you don't have to glue them. And then it has a color scheme here, and of course it is going to give you probably Gunsy colors, but there's going to be all kinds of matches for these colors, especially if you're going to weather it. Front, back, sides, bottom even, and then they show you an actual picture of the model itself completed with those colors. So all in all, looks like a really nice kit. I hope they keep doing these because it's real fun to do the weathering techniques. If you want to practice your weathering techniques, this is a fun one to do it. Dirt on the tires, dirt and scrapes, paints, chips, scrapes. You can really ding this one up if you want to. Pigments and chipping and so forth, and even hairspray technique for chipping will lend itself well. So that's about it for a new kit review. Stay tuned for the kit rewind. Okay, and welcome to this week's issue of Kit Rewind, where I'll be taking an old kit from many moons ago and review it and kind of show you what models we're doing back in the day and have some fun with it. For this one, I'm actually going to do the Star Trek K7 space station, which has been re-released recently. That's what this boxing is. Still holding its own, but it was molded many, many moons ago. And let's see if this has the original. It's got the original artwork. See if it's got the original date on it. It was re-released in 2010, and doesn't say much about it. But it was way back, way back. Probably I would say 70s, 80s, somewhere around that. All right. Nice that they did the actual original box art as well. So let's see what all we got here. Not a lot of detail to this thing, as you would expect from something 30 some odd years old of a model, but there's all kinds of stuff you can do to it. Okay, looks like we got the arms of the station. Real basic, soft molded, not a lot of sharp detail, but it wasn't really made for hardcore modelers. It was made for people who just want to have fun, build Star Trek stuff. Usually for kids to just get an entry level. Nothing's hardly bigger than a, you know, maybe a piece that big. All right, let's see what else we got here. And it is interesting on the Star Trek Deep Space Nine, they actually did an episode where they went back to this episode that showed the space station, which was the Tribble episode, and they re-edited the special effects, and then they melded their story in with the original, and it was actually very entertaining. Alright, so there's the base area there, and then this is the ship bay, I do believe. Again, nothing there, it's not open, nothing, but it gives you the opportunity to cut that out and put a little docking bay and stuff in there. Looks like this one is another one piece like that goes on the bottom. Okay. For this one, they give you a dome for the base, which is nice. I don't remember what they gave you back in the old days. And then these are the actual top and bottom cones that are supposed to be the windows, and basically they're just lined out. You just mask them and paint them however you want. It'll be kind of hard to get that grid on there, so you might. Some people have actually taken mesh and put it around. It's up to you. Dry brushing, you could actually get to it fairly well, and it looks like some little clear pieces, but it doesn't look like they did anything. They might have cleaned up the molds because there wasn't a lot of flash, but that's about all they did. They didn't actually increase any or add any parts. Instructions look like reproductions of the original, and man, real simple. They even come with a little tiny enterprise that you can put with it to give it scale. Unfortunately, no scale tribbles. And putting on the cones, and yeah, there's the docking port. I think that might have been the original base, but I'm not sure because they don't show actually using the base in those instructions, the new base. Okay, and then we've got a little sign-up thing for newsletters and so forth, and a little list of all the new round 2 stuff. Glad they're doing some of this old stuff. And decals. Looks like let's take a look at those real quick. This is one good thing about it being re-released, is the decals are now not yellowed and cracking and unusable. So they give you brand new ones, 2010, real good looking decals, thin, looks pretty darn good. So these will actually work pretty well. Gives you different options for different numbers. So if you want a different space station, instead of being K7, you can do 1 through 9, things like that. Gives you a little wax cover, keep them from getting messed up. And that is about it on that one. That's simple, real simple. Unfortunately, it kind of set the standard for science fiction kits, and a lot of the new science fiction kits, they don't take them seriously, and they just have them soft plastic and soft detail, and as I call it, dog toy plastic, real thick. I wish they would get a little more serious with them, like they do with the Japanese Gundam stuff. Make them a little bit sharper detail, a little more detail, a little more intricate. But unfortunately, like I said, that's kind of the base standard for sci-fi kits. So anyways, blast from the past coming through and showing up in shops and still available. Oh, and to go along with the kit rewind, showing my age, but I was digging out some of my stuff in the garage, and guess what I found? This little guy. Old AM radio from 1970, I believe, and I think that's why they call it a Panapet 70, and from Panasonic. This was all the rage. Kind of looks like a Death Star or the pod from 2001. I think that was not by mistake. So anyways, actually still works. So I thought I would show you that, and kind of what we were listening to when we were building those kind of models. Even if you had headphones, that was really cutting edge. All right. Up next will be the new gear review. All right, and welcome to this week's new gear. And for this week, I'm going to be reviewing the Trumpeter Master Tool series, their track alignment tool. And this is almost a must for most armor modelers these days, since most models come with link-by-link tracks. They're kind of getting around to doing link and length and so forth again, which is nice. But basically, this is for link-to-link tracks, metal or plastic. I used to have a little tiny one that I paid out the nose for, and it worked great for a while. But then this came out extremely cheap. I found it online for, I think, about 25 bucks. It's, of course, probably a little more than that in most places. Anyways, heavy-duty aluminum. I put these little feet on to keep them from skidding around. But real nice. The other thing, it's got the long length for longer lengths of tracks than I had. And then it also has a 90-degree end, so you can actually get them upright. So the way this works is basically you just loosen the little nut. It has 2 pins. My other one just had 1 pin, which was this, and it sometimes would get crooked. This one still can a little bit, but it's a little bit more solid. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to open it up, and the ends here, you can see this one is actually angled in and out, and this one's angled in. That's to hold the track in place, to keep the track from popping out when you put pressure on it. So, good design thing there. So what you're going to do, it's really pretty simple. You got to make sure you get your track directions right. And you'll put each piece individually in here. Some of them will snap together, some of them give you a little more grief. You'll be able to find out which ones work better and some that need a little more cleanup. So anyways, you'll keep doing this. You'll measure what you need for like the lower track run on a tank. So basically I did from here to here first, and then I did the upper run and then the sides. So basically you get them all in there like so. Clamp this down, get them straight, put a little pressure on them, and then make sure they're up against here so they're 90 degrees and track all the way across. And then they'll pinch in there, and I don't know if you can see, but it goes underneath that angle on both sides, so it pretty well traps it in there if you have a whole run of track, of course. So anyways, it traps it in there, and let's get this a little straighter there. And then you go in and hit it with a little bit of the what the best is the Tamiya cement. They're extra thin cement, not the quick set, which is the new stuff, which has the lime green lid, just the one with the green, because this will give you enough time to move the stuff around. So you're going to actually let it do its capillary thing on each piece of track. Let it set for a little while. You don't have to actually let it set too long. And once you're ready, you just take this off or open, and there you have a piece of track that is ready to be molded. If you want it straight, of course, you just leave it straight. If you're going to mold it around the sprockets and so forth, you can actually, it gives you enough time and holds it just enough so you can do that. Usually if you go over probably about a half an hour, it's going to be too hard, and once you try to bend it, it's going to tear apart. So you want to do it within about half an hour time limit. And then once it's all done, looks similar to this. And you can see, I did the bottom run, and then I did a small run that I was able to hook to that and then bend it around, make sure it got in the sprockets there. And then reinforced it with the glue, let it dry, glued it up against the wheels and the top, and made it real rigid. So now it's ready to paint. Also, if you're having troubles getting this bottom run to touch the wheels are too high, you can put down a bunch of pieces of paper towel. That way when you press it down, it'll actually, the paper towel will push up in points that it will move, and it'll actually push the track up and touch the wheels. So you will have an uneven track, but it will be touching all the wheels. and when you mount it to your base, you can mount it in mud or something to cover up all those little undulations there. So works awesome. I'm glad they came out with it. I like my little one. I still have it. Use it for portable stuff, but this one is a much better, much heftier way to do it. Much harder to screw things up because it's so heavy. So that's this new Gears review, and hope you enjoyed it.